Some conversions among fractions, decimals, and percent can be done easily with any kind of calculator. And here's how. So here we have just a basic calculator, and we're going to convert the fraction 5/8 to a decimal. So all this is basic arithmetic, so you can just do it with any calculator. So 5 divided by 8 is what 5/8 means, and that equals 0.625. So that's how you convert a fraction to a decimal. Just divide the bottom into the top. Now what if you wanted to convert a fraction to a percent? So we had 5/8 and we want to know what percent that is. Well, what we do is the same thing as above. 5 divided by 8 equals 0.625, so we've converted it to a decimal, and then we multiply by 100. 62.5%. So to convert a fraction to a percent, you divide the bottom into the top and multiply by 100. How do you convert a decimal to a percent? Well, let's say we have the decimal 0.625 and we want to convert that to a percent. All you do is multiply by 100. 62.5. Now what if you want to go the other way? What if you have a percent and you want to convert it to a decimal? Simply divide by 100. So 62.5% equals 0.625. So you can do a lot of things with any kind of calculator because it's just basic math. But if you want to use the calculator to convert a decimal or a percent to a fraction, then you need to have some special functions that are only found on scientific calculators or trades calculators. And when you're converting percent to a fraction, then first what you would do is convert that to a decimal by dividing by 100, and then follow the steps to convert it to a fraction. All right, so this is a scientific calculator, and scientific calculators vary, but they're different, but they all have a lot of similar features and functions, and the way you do this might vary a little bit depending on your calculator. However, with this one, let's say we have the decimal 0.625 and we want to convert that to a fraction. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to enter it as if it is a fraction, and if you remember, a decimal is a decimal fraction. So 0.625 is equal to 625 as the numerator over, I'm going to push the fractions key, the place value of the last digit. And the way I do this is there are 3 digits after the decimal, so that means there are going to be 3 zeros. That's the way I do it. So 625 over 1,000. Okay? So I've entered the decimal as though it's a fraction. Now I'm going to push equals. It's 5/8. So 0.625 is equal to 5/8. And actually, so this is a trades calculator, and you can see it has some of the same functions as a scientific calculator. You can see the sine and the cosine and the tangent, but it has other things like diameter and yards and feet and inches, or conversion to millimeters, which are specific to working in trades, or very useful at least for working in trades. So again, trades calculators might vary depending on the calculator you're using, but with this one, if we want to convert a decimal to a fraction, we just enter the decimal, 0.625, and then this actually has a function to convert it for us automatically. We're going to push convert, and above the fraction bar here, that's the fraction key, the slash, you see it says decimal to fraction. So we just push the button, and look, it's 5/8. You still need to understand how to make the conversions among fractions, decimals, and percent in order to use the calculator correctly. But once you understand it, using a calculator can make your life a whole lot easier.